Adopted is amazing. I had been looking forward to this for such a long time, and finally it became available on a streaming service in the UK. It's currently available on Prime, and I jumped at the chance to watch it, and I'm so glad that I did. As with pretty much all of my reviews, this will be spoiler free, but at the very end, I want to talk about the ending because I have a few thoughts. So at the very end, I will give a spoiler warning. This film was released in 2024. It's directed by Chris Stokes, written by Stokes and Marques Houston, with a cast including Drew Sidora, Daniel Day Johnson, Jayden Aguirre, Victoria Nuckles, and various others. And Jayden Aguirre plays a young boy called Dylan. Dylan is adopted into a happy home, and it seems like he has everything he needs, and the couple now have everything they need with their new son. But there is a darkness that Dylan brings into the house. And I was really nervous from the beginning because Dylan is so sweet and so likable, and I wanted him to remain sweet and innocent. And I was really curious to see what would happen and how they'd handle the character. And it doesn't take too long for things to start to feel a little uneasy, and things become unpredictable, and it is very, very effective. It's also very emotional, and I don't want to go into too much about this, but we find out pretty early on why Dylan might be displaying dark characteristics, things that had happened to him that maybe led him to behave this way. And those scenes are so painful and so powerful and so well done, and so difficult to watch because of how well they're done. It's definitely a lot more emotional than I was expecting. And the characters are very well written. The performances are fantastic. Really good use of sound to build suspense at times. Visually very strong, with good camera work and lighting and some nice locations. Adopted is a really solid film. I don't think it's the film that I was expecting. I'll talk more about that with a spoiler warning in a moment. But it is brilliant, emotional, moving, powerful, engaging, gripping, compelling, unpredictable. It was absolutely worth the wait, and I thoroughly recommend it. Okay, big spoilers from now, as I'm going to talk about what happens at the very end. I'm also going to talk about perhaps the film I expected versus the film that we got, and none of this is a criticism. In fact, a lot of it is just praise. So big spoilers from now. Dylan behaves the way he does because of past abuse, and those scenes are they're horrific, and I hate them, but I have so much praise for how powerful they are. And I had expected going into this, I didn't read much about it, but I just assumed it was going to be a possessed child film. There are many horrors and thrillers where children behave badly with a suggestion that they're either the devil or they're possessed, and that's kind of what I expected. But here we have something a lot more important, a lot more thought-provoking, and a lot more meaningful. And that final scene, I didn't know how to feel because of how powerful it was. That final moment. In fact, I'm not going to say what happens at the very end, but at the very end, Dylan is in a position where he's causing a lot of damage, and I really don't want to give it away, but it's hard to talk about without spoiling. I know I said spoilers, but I'm trying to kind of pussyfoot around it. The last few seconds, so impactful, so impressive. I didn't know whether I should have been happy with the outcome or traumatized. I think the latter is most likely how I felt, because it was so sudden. And I won't give it away. Maybe that will whet your appetite if you want to watch it a little bit. I know I said spoilers, but I just can't. I can't bring myself to give away exactly what happens. But I'll just say the last few seconds made me feel about 100 different things at once, and it was very, very powerful. Adopted is a very strong film. Not what I expected, as I said. Just based on other films, I assumed it would be a kind of paranormal possession or demonic film, and what we got was a much more important story to tell, and I think they told it expertly.